Hello, I'm Jeff Offit, professor of computer science at George Mason University, and I'm stepping in just to answer a simple question. Why should grade school children learn about computer science? So I'm going to really focus on two things. The first is that computer science, I would say, is the intellectual driver of the 21st century. That's our entire lifetime, and at this point, our children's lifetime. I've listed out three bullets, one having to do with jobs. So I think we understand that if you're good at computer science, that will allow you to become a software engineering, which is one of the fastest growing fields in the world and has been for as long as I can remember. The software companies actually have felt a labor shortage for many years and will continue to do so. There are not enough people, and there won't be for a long time, which means there are lots of jobs for people who are good at developing software. Some of these other things I put on this list, and this is not a complete list, may seem less obvious. I think about a chef. What does a chef do? It's not using computers all that much, but a chef is developing recipes, modifying recipes, and what is a recipe? Well, we take some data, which is computer science, we call those ingredients, and we take an algorithm, which is the recipe itself. We follow the algorithm on the data, and we create something yummy to eat. And a chef modifies existing recipes and creates new recipes. So that's exactly computer science. That's exactly what computer science education and knowledge helps us to be good at. Computer science also crops up all over the place in day-to-day life. How do we decide if we read an article in a newspaper or social media, whether it's true or not? We use the kind of thinking we develop for computer science. And if you're good at the computer science thinking, then it turns out you can fairly easily sort out what's true and what's not true. When we buy things, how do we buy the best car, for example? That comes down to the same kind of thinking we use to develop software. How do we find the car dealer or wherever we're going? How do we program our appliances like our thermostats and our Roombas and all of these other things that are populating our houses on a continuing basis using computer science principles? And even the privacy settings on your phones, your electronic devices, or your social media accounts, those are all set up with the kind of thinking that we learn in computer science. So computer science education will help us with all of these things and many more. And being a sports lover, I have to throw in the next one. A coach is actually a programmer, which may sound a little bit odd, but what does a coach do? A coach takes a group of individuals, and this is true whether we're talking basketball or football or lacrosse or baseball. But a coach takes individuals and organizes them to do things, to take actions in a particular order and sequence. And that's an algorithm. It's an algorithm with multiple players, which turns out to be a pretty complicated algorithm. That's essential computer science. When you're learning martial arts, karate or kung fu or whatever, you're learning algorithms that you use your body for. Recruiting in sports is now primarily driven by data analytics, which is a wonderful application of computer science and statistics. Plays in football and basketball, and training programs for improving your performance in whatever sport you're interested in. And in fact, my chiropractor, who specializes in sports injuries, told me that the most important class he took in college after anatomy, which was very important, obviously, was his computer science course, because when he identifies a problem that his patient has and outlines a treatment involving stretches and exercises, whatever, he feels like he's developing a program for his patients to follow. That's computer science thinking. So the other point I want to make is about automation, and this has happened before. We've gone through waves of automation, but we're in the middle of one of the most significant waves of automation in human history. And I've made up these dates. They're a little bit, out of my head, so they may be off, but take them as approximations. At some point in the relatively near future, a lot of jobs that do not require college degrees necessarily will be automated, and that's everything from truck drivers to cooks to construction workers. That there'll be more and more robots and software taking over many of these jobs. But that's just the start of it. By 2070 is my prediction, which, by the way, is before your current students retire. It sounds like a long time for me, but that's before our elementary school children will be retiring. Artificial intelligence and machine learning, with their ability to make very complicated decisions and solve challenging problems, will be taking over lots and lots of highly skilled jobs jobs that currently require college degrees in healthcare, the legal system, even actors and surgeons. But what's going to happen? What are truck drivers and pilots going to do when all this automation comes in? Well, this has always happened. When we have automation, we lose jobs or we replace jobs, but then we create jobs. We're creating millions of new jobs, probably more jobs than we're losing, but most of those will require some background in computer science. Some will need the ability to code, and code is not for everybody. It's not that interesting to a lot of people, but those are the software engineering jobs, and those are pretty high-paying jobs. But most of the jobs will not require coding. They won't be as uninteresting to the majority of the people as coding is. But one thing I'm 100% sure of is that kids who learn computer science in the 2020s, they're prepared for the 21st century, and they will be able to have good jobs throughout their careers, all the way into the 2070s and beyond.